So this is gonna be a very short stream because I am tired, as you can tell. I just did a late night run. Early, I went to the gym, and before that, I did a shorter run earlier today because it was pretty hot. So waited till it cooled off tonight. Plus, uh, I don't want to be up late because I don't want Captain America to bypass my house for being up when I'm supposed to be in bed. So I hope everyone put out their milk and cookies for Captain America, um, because it's his birthday. For those who don't know, July the 4th is Steve Rogers' birthday. So he is Captain America. um, excuse me. I promise you that was just water. That was just water. I promise. Um, but yeah, um, again, I just came from a run, so chest is still kind of heaving a little bit. I don't think you can tell I'm heaving, but everyone's gonna get a big laugh out of me just choking on that water. I'm pretty sure. As I don't buy it. I can laugh at myself. But yeah, so interested in what people are gonna have planned for Independence Day for July the 4th. Assuming that some of you have days off. I know some of you don't get days off on holidays, even federal holidays. So if so, I understand. No biggie. At least you can do something on Friday or Saturday if you choose to do so. Um, some people may choose not to do anything at all. Like some people don't celebrate July the 4th. I know a lot of the conscious Hotep people don't, which is funny because as I was telling a friend earlier, um, July the 4th was actually a pretty important day for the former slaves because at that time they were told or influenced not to celebrate the day because they were told by slave owners or people in the Reconstruction South that that day isn't for them. Yet they celebrated it any day because as they saw it as not just as American Independence Day, but as a promise given to them of their own emancipation. So it had been pretty important to Black Americans. It wasn't until, like I said, I guess like maybe the 70s and 80s when you had this pro-Black movement that they kind of rejected some people, a lot of people, a lot of us didn't, but some, some people in the pro-Black community spaces had rejected Independence Day because they thought it had of no significance to Black Americans. And I get it. I see why they thought that. But again, they were wrong because a lot of those freed slaves saw July 4th as an expression of their own freedom. And, you know, a lot of them until like last maybe 40 or so years didn't really know about Juneteenth, which, just happened about 3 weeks ago. What's up, Toby? How are you? Um, so, it's always been kind of important within the Black community. Like I said, it faced some rejection within certain presidential administrations where there was a lot more anti-American fervor in the Black community, and like I said, also with the coming of Juneteenth, like even before it became a federal holiday, it became more and more well known. So that became the go-to holiday, and yeah, like I said, some of these Hotep conscious folks Afrocentric people were saying it's not really our holiday and stuff like that. Um, that's weird, Toby. How you leave a lighter in the refrigerator? Um, but Michael says the West is best. You and I know the West Side is the best side. I'm playing. I'm playing. No, but in all honesty, um, like I said, guys, um, July the 4th, like I said, has been important in the black community because, like I said, a lot of freed slaves celebrated their emancipation on July the 4th because a lot of us didn't know about Juneteenth back then, except for the people, within Texas and probably just Galveston, Texas at that, and like surrounding areas. Um, Also, blacks have every right to celebrate Independence Day because we were literally a part of every American war that's ever been fought, including the Independence War. A black man was the first, I think, was the first one to die. Crispus Attucks. So we've been in it from the beginning, from the very beginning. At least foundational black Americans have been. So, and then of significant importance to me, especially, is the fact that my founding father, I mean, well, sorry, our founding fathers, of which one of them who wrote the Declaration of Independence is one of my ancestors. So, and if you're not American, you probably don't understand why. Because I see I have a few non-American people in the chat. So, the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, also wrote the Declaration of Independence and was one of the founding fathers. Was there with the Continental Congress, who basically were in open rebellion against the British Crown. Thank goodness, because if so, we'd be eating baked beans on toast for breakfast. But in any case, he sired many children with one of his former slaves, Sally Hemings, and this had been speculation for like about 200 years until there actually was a DNA test done on the alleged scion of Jefferson, and it proved that yes, he was our ancestor, either he or his father, basically the same thing. But because genetics is always probabilistic, the DNA test, but the DNA test showed that either he or his father was the uh, the baby father to Sally Hemings. So, and she was already, I believe, a a half black woman herself who was related to his wife. So, in any case, yeah, it's a little messy, but that's America for you. So, literally related to the guy who wrote the Declaration of Independence in 1776 and July the 4th. So, I may not have the birthday of July the 4th like Captain America Steve Rogers does, but I am related to the one who made it a special day, so kind of important to me anyway. And I believe one of my sisters, I'm not gonna put her name out there, but one of my sisters was even on one of those documentaries that Oprah did, Oprah Winfrey did many years ago on the scion of Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. So she was on that documentary. Um, so yeah, we and it's definitely uh, it's definitely easily documented. My family this is on my grandmother's side, my paternal grandmother's side, that we're related to Jefferson via Sally Hemings. They still live in the same area. I mean, some of them live like in places like Princeton, New Jersey, and Boston, which are still very American type places to live, like old school East Coast type people. But they still live in Charlottesville, Virginia, like right next to the Jefferson Estate. Like there's the Jefferson Estate, and I believe like the Jefferson Library and stuff, all right there in Charlottesville. They live right there. I was like, I didn't even realize it because as a kid when I used to go there, I didn't know where we were going, but when I'm grown, I'm like, yo, that's the Jefferson Estate right there. And he founded the University of Virginia, UVA, even though he went to William and Mary, which should be an Ivy League school. I'm not exactly sure why William and Mary doesn't count as an Ivy League school, but or St. John's in Maryland, but that's besides the point. In any case, he actually went bankrupt forming the University of Virginia, which is there in Charlottesville, Virginia, where they were all the riots. Um, what was that, 7 years ago? So, but yeah, so we're definitely related to him. Like I said, my family still lives right outside the Jefferson Estate, um, in Charlottesville, Virginia. And like I said, my sister was on the documentary that Oprah did for a lot of the living um, descendants of Hemings and Jefferson. So, in case you guys didn't know that, now you know. um, and what was I gonna say? So, just celebrating this, like I said, early midnight, July the 4th. Like I said, if you guys didn't do it already, put out your milk and cookie for Captain America. I will actually be going to bed soon. This won't be long, and unless I get some good repartee from some of you guys in the chat room. One guy is calling me boring, but I mean but Mike Pond, you're free to bring up a question, a comment if you want to liven things up. Mind you, it is midnight where I am. I don't know where you are, and frankly, if you don't like this, I don't give a fuck. You can't fight me. you know, Being that this is America's Independence Day, I'm going to share that feistiness and say, if you can't throw hands with me, then eat a dick. America. So, yeah, that's what I think about you. And I don't want to get too political tonight. And maybe later on today we can do that, but I don't want to get political tonight because I know we're all aware of the stuff that was talked about on the news earlier. And some of us are gonna say, "Yeah, we told you so." uh, so like I said, I don't mind you guys, saying Trump 2024 or whatever. Uh, but like I said, I'm not gonna get political this evening because it's too late for me. And like I said, I don't I don't want to rub people the wrong way on a day that should be for all of us, regardless of you know our political affiliations, partisan values. At the end of the day, we're all American, even our expats, because I plan on expatriating myself. And yeah, this day is for all of us. You see, look, I look like your Dominican uncle. Are you Dominican yourself? Are you Dominicano? That is funny because when my father goes to the DR, he said they used to mistaken him for like a New York Dominican gangster or whatever. Which I'm guessing is probably because he's wearing his gold and all that sort of stuff. And my father is light skinned, whereas I'm not. I'm brown, obviously, but Uh, from what my mother and other people tell me, they say I'm just a darker version of my father. I get mistaken for a lot of stuff, especially West Indian. So Dominican, I'm not surprised. Um, some people from Barbados thought I was Bajan. Um, and when I was in college, I had a fetish for Caribbean and West Indian girls. So a lot of them would tell me, frankly, that I did look like I was from the West Indies. And sometimes they know I like hearing them talk to me in patois and stuff like that. So they would talk. You know, one girl used to tease me and be like, "Hey, Yankee," and all this sort of stuff. Oh, Miss Nito, hey, you're back. I'm glad you came back. Um, I don't know what he's referring to for High Tower. The only High Tower I know is the guy from Police Academy, which yeah, I'm old school. So unless you're talking about High Tower from Police Academy, which was played by the former NFL player who was from Baltimore, by the way, before they moved to Indiana, the Colts. Um, wait, right. Yeah. Am I getting that right? My NFL guys? Baltimore Colts moved to Indiana Colts, right? So we hate them because of that. And Cleveland hates us because I guess we took the Browns and turned them into the Ravens, right? Am I getting that right, NFL people? I'm not a sports guy, so I'm a nerd on many subjects, but when it comes to sports, I'm not a nerd on sports facts. So if I said any of that incorrectly, correct me. Yeah, we talk about police. Oh, Miss Nia says, yeah, we talk about Police Academy, the guy who imitates noise. No, no, that's not Hightower. Hightower was the big guy. You're talking the guy that goes, oh, that guy, his name was, um, I forgot. Interesting tidbit. So the Sci-Fi Channel did like a little horror comedy movie, and it took like a couple of the people from the original Police Academy. It took Steve Gutenberg. It took the guy who does the noises, and it did the woman who always had the soft voice but would yell at the end of the movie. The three of them were on this movie called Lava Lantula, and I think it was two of them. It was Lava Lantula, and it was Lava Lantula 2, and they were connected to the Sharknado movies too. In case you ever saw the Sharknado movies, if you saw Sharknado, then it was made by the same people as the Sharknado people, the Lava Lantula, and it took the original cat, like some of the original cast from Police Academy, including that guy you guys are thinking about, but he wasn't Hightower. Hightower was the tall guy that everyone was scared of. He was one of the former NFL players for the Baltimore Colts. Yeah, Miss Nielsen's Police Academy is hilarious. Love it. Yeah, that's one of my classic movies. Do you remember when I don't know how old you are, Miss Needle, but if you're old school like me, do you remember when they turned Police Academy into a cartoon? Like for some reason in the 80s, they used to take R-rated movies and turn them into children's cartoons, and it was completely inappropriate. Like they did that for Rambo. Um, they did that for a couple of things and made toys out of them. Aliens, RoboCop, completely inappropriate for kids. But yeah, and they got up to like Police Academy. Like I thought they stopped at like 8, but apparently they kept going into like the 90s or early 2000s. They got up to like Police 10 or 11 or something like that. Steve Gutenberg had stopped at part 5, I believe. Like I stopped watching after Steve Gutenberg left the franchise. So they ruined a bunch of movies with cartoon stuff like Night at the Museum too. Wait, Night. When did that become a cartoon? That became a cartoon with Ben Stiller, and I don't remember that. But that was in the 2000s, so I wouldn't have known anyway because I was already grown by then. Fourth part they had a wait. When did they have a fourth part? There was one, two. Right, I remember there was a third one. I didn't know there was a fourth one. Or you just mean they just ran the franchise into the hole with like a lot of animation in the live action film? Because yeah, I don't even remember a fourth film, and I definitely don't remember like a cartoon series. It must have been like straight to video. But sometimes they'll release sequels to films. They will be straight to video, and then they'll bring the movie back into the major, back to the silver screen again. They done that with like Van Damme movies, like Universal Soldier. Like people don't know there was a bunch of Universal Soldier movies. They were like straight to video, but the only ones he was in was the first one and the last two of them that went to the big screen. But there was like a bunch of ones that were like straight to video. Same thing with Kickboxer. He came back at the end and did a movie with like Scott Adkins. But it was a bunch of kickboxing movies that were straight to video in the 80s and 90s. But yeah, guys. So you guys have any plans for July the 4th? Fireworks. They were literally already setting off fireworks today. And I was telling my friend, I was like, I said I get annoyed about that. I was like, I don't care if they do that all day July 4th, but I hate when they do it before July the 4th. After I don't care that much either, like July the 5th, July the 6th, cool, whatever. Some people still got leftover fireworks. I get it. But just on the second and the third, like, come on. Especially in black neighborhoods, I don't hear fireworks because sometimes that can mask the sound of guns. And like I said, we know, and well, for us who've lived in black communities, we know that some people don't just shoot fireworks, they shoot guns on July the 4th as well. So a lot of people in lower class black communities tend to stay inside on July the 4th and on New Year's because they don't want to get inadvertently shot. So these Miss Needle says, "Do fireworks trigger PTSD for you personally?" I remember you said you're a veteran. I don't have PTSD, so it doesn't bother me. But yes, it can be triggering for people who have PTSD or um, the other form of it, which is acute stress syndrome. It's related to PTSD, but it's sort of a similar. It has a similar etiology, but it's considered a different um, illness. Also, it can be very triggering for pets. For a lot of us have pets. I don't have any here, but I do have two Aspen dogs in the Philippines. Aspens are like the Filipino dog there. They're not a purebred dog. They're like a mixed breed, but the mixture of the breeds all seems to coalesce around similar looking phenotypic features of an Aspen dog. They're very cute dogs, very trainable. In the Philippines, often you'll see these dogs walking around, and you're thinking they are stray dogs, but they're actually not. It's just their owners will let them wander around during the day, then they'll come back home. But yeah, um, we have Aspens back in my Filipino home, and which is interesting because some people think I hate dogs from some of the videos I made. But in any case, fireworks can be very upsetting to animals, so people should keep in mind that their neighbors may have dogs and stuff like that. Um, but no, they don't bother me. Like I said, the only thing that bothers me is like living like in Baltimore where some people will shoot guns in place of fireworks. And I was explaining to a friend earlier that I don't like I liked it better when fireworks used to be illegal in Maryland. People still had them because they were illegal in DC, and people just cross the border, buy them in DC, and bring them to Maryland. And he was like, "Well, they're not legal everywhere in Maryland." He said, "They're not." He said, "They don't allow it in Baltimore." I was like, "Well, that's different. That's a municipal issue." But I was like, the state itself has made it legal, so there's no need to. Because I was like, we can go right to the supermarket right now and buy some if there's still any left over, and people will set up their little kiosk, in different places around the neighborhood for people to buy fireworks. The scary thing was back during the pandemic was since they had shut down a lot of those fireworks shows, a lot of those people who sell fireworks, they sell the jumbo size ones for like the big firework shows and events. They couldn't sell those, so apparently they were selling them just to regular customers, and they weren't supposed to be doing that. That's why it became really bad around 2020, 2021, when a lot of people were hearing really loud fireworks throughout the summer, and that was due to a lot of these firework sellers trying to recoup their loss on their money by selling it to individuals, even though I'm pretty sure that's illegal in many places. Miss Neal says, "Yeah, hard to distinguish at times, and we have fireworks bans too. I'm not from the U.S." Oh, okay. What country are you from? I think you told us last time, but I'm sorry, I don't remember, and it's a little late. um, yeah, I never play with fireworks because there's a Generation X Facebook group I'm in, and someone had wrote, "All right, guys, give us your crazy fireworks story. I know we all have them." And a few of us, like myself, said, "I never played with fireworks as a kid." I was like, plus I avoided people who did because I wasn't trying to get injured. Like I knew people who used to have fireworks when I was a kid. Like they would buy like the cherry bombs and the only thing I got as a kid that came close to fireworks was that I forgot what that thing is, but you like kind of just move it around like this, the little cranker, the little thing you used to crank and you just move it around like that. I forgot what you call it, but that was like the only thing I used to get around uh, July the 4th or New Year's. But it didn't set off any sort of like sparks or anything. It just made noise. I forgot what you call it. Um, or sometimes we would go to the store and buy those little poppers that you can just throw in the ground. Um, So I used to do those, especially because in the 80s we all loved ninja stuff. So we would buy these little poppers and act like we were ninjas and throw them on the ground. So, but yeah, um, so yeah, I never played with fireworks. Still don't. The only time I've ever set off fireworks, well, explosives, because fireworks are like low level explosives. Which I was telling my friend, I said that's why this would have been heavily regulated, if it wasn't legal, because technically fireworks would fall under the provision of the ATF, which is alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosives. So if people are buying illegal firework grades of fireworks, they would be counted as more like explosives. And I told him I never played with them. The only time I've ever played with explosives was in the army, with frag grenades, um, smoke grenades, stuff like that. So, Miss Nina says I once burnt my finger flesh off, and that made me respect fire on a whole different level. Ugh, I will hope so. That sounds painful. I've burnt myself, but not like that. Like I've burnt myself, cooking stuff like that, or with a clothing iron. I'm with a grandparent, so I don't believe I'll be partaking in the cookouts tomorrow. Well, today, rather. It is today. So I'm just gonna relax and watch some movies, guys. You for the last, I would think, for the last 7 to 6 years, I've made it a habit to watch one of the Captain America movies every July the 4th. Because again, like I said, July the 4th is Steve Rogers' uh, birthday, so it's kind of Captain. So July the 4th is also Captain America Day. So last year I watched Captain America: Civil War, and this past Army Day, which was like almost 2 months ago, I watched Captain America Part One. But I usually watch Winter Soldier because that's my favorite of the trilogy, and I think that's almost everyone's favorite or second favorite MCU movie is Winter Soldier. But I might either watch that or I might watch Endgame because I was over one of my cousin's house and they were watching Endgame while I was helping him set up his Netflix and or customize his Netflix rather, so he could find Indonesian and Malaysian horror movies. And that he was watching Endgame on his other screen. And I was like, oh, I want to watch that, but I was like, I want to watch it from the beginning. So I might watch Endgame from the beginning tomorrow, or I might just watch both Infinity War and Endgame together tomorrow. But I also want to watch that new Beverly Hills Cop movie, Axel, uh, on Netflix. Like Eddie Murphy finally decided to finish off the Beverly Hills franchise with a new movie. Um, and I think most of us want to forget the one that happened in the '90s because that one was so horrible. But they do have Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 on Netflix right now. If you want to watch those guys, then you can watch the new one, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. And I think the F is just for Foley because that was his last name in the movie, Axel Foley. And I think what it is, most of us are gonna try to pretend part three never happened. Sort of like with Rocky, most of us pretend Rocky Five never happened. We just go Rocky one, two, three, and four. Then we go to the final one. Like most of us try to forget that Rocky Five ever happened. Miss Nito says, "Have you seen the movie Airborne Creed Saints and Soldiers on YouTube?" No, I haven't heard of that. Is it a documentary? It's free. No, I know it's free on YouTube. I was saying, is it a documentary or is it like an actual movie? Because I can, even if I can pull it up on YouTube, but I'll probably if it's a movie, I'll just pull it up on my Fire Stick. That way, I don't have to deal with YouTube advertisements and stuff like that. I can just watch it in its entirety. It's a movie about American paratroopers in France. Think World War II. Well, yeah, I know airborne a paratrooper is. We're drilled that quite a bit in the army. The 101st, 82nd, uh, which I had the opportunity to become, and I didn't even pussy out, to tell you the truth, because I'm not scared of heights, and it actually sounded pretty exciting when I was in advanced initial training, and this sergeant came up to us and said, "Hey, do any of you soldiers want to go to go to jump school and become airborne?" And I was tempted to say yes, but my training was only 7 weeks long, and I was like, nah, I just want to go. I just want to get this done, and go straight to my permanent duty station. Looking back at it now, I wish I did do it. And even before I left, I still had years to have done it. I could have at any time I could have went to my um, NCOIC or um, first sergeant and say, "Hey, sergeant, can I go to jump school?" And they would have signed me up. It's like a 3 week course. I could have done that, and I could have done the air assault. So I wish I did. But anyway, Oh, I was in the army 6 years, Miss Nito. But in any case, oh, and another good thing if I had went airborne was that, like, once I was civilian, um, I'd have been able to do unassisted jumps. So like if I want to, so say, if you go skydiving, you have to have like a jump. You have to do it with like a jump master. But you know, we would have done enough jumps for during training that we would have been certified to do our own unassisted jumps. So that would have been another good reason to do it because I did want to go skydiving. I remember a friend and a friend a friend of mine in college. We were like, man, we should go skydiving, and she and I never did it. I'm tempted to like hit her up on Facebook one day and be like, hey, did you ever go skydiving? Saved your knees? Yeah, some people say it's harder on their knees, but at the time I was in pretty good shape, so I wasn't worried about that. Some people have complained that it is hard on the body, but you you get a lot of that practice in before you actually do your jumps. Like they show you how to make your, like they have you jumping off of this little platform with a rig, right? Um, to prepare for your actual jumps. So it wouldn't have been that hard. Especially nowadays, they have it even easier because like their uniform comes with like tactical knee pads and stuff like that. For us, we didn't even have like knee pads and all that sort of stuff. We just roughed it. But even still, like I said, I was in pretty good shape. I would have been. eh, I could still probably do it. To be honest, right now, I could probably still really do it. I mean, I do Muay Thai and I run 10 kilometers every day. I'm pretty sure I can still do it because I have been thinking about going to the DC National Guard because they are looking for prior service members, and it it doesn't matter what prior service you were in, they'll take all of us. But if you were prior Army and prior Marines and you don't have any like physical limitations, you don't even have to go back through any sort of training. So if that's the case, I'd be like, hey Sarge, I want to go to jump school. I'm like, if I was to stay in America, I'd be very tempted to join the DC National Guard and then go airborne just to get my wings. Yeah, I could still go skydive, Miss Needle. I was saying the only difference is I can't do you can't do unassisted skydiving jumps. It has to be you have to do it with a licensed jump master. But if I had went airborne, I would have been certified, so I didn't have to do assisted jumps. I could do it on my own if I wanted to just go skydiving for fun. Sort of just like so as a veteran right here in the state where I live, Maryland, I don't have to go through training to get my handgun qualification license nor my um, concealed carry um, weapons permit. Just by virtue of the fact that I'm a veteran um, and not a felon, I can just go ahead and get those things. So, but yeah, I still might skydive. Like I said, it just won't be as fun because I have to do it with a jump master, and I really don't want like a dude on my back. That just feels very puff daddy. uh, what I do want to do though is I want to go parasailing as well. Uh, it's actually part of the tour package, and by this tour guide that I friended in Bali. But unfortunately, when my wife and I went there for our wedding anniversary, that wasn't part of the tour. Was the parasailing? And I told him, I was like, oh man, I was like, I said, I want to do the parasailing. He was just like, man, come back. He said, I got you. He said, just come on back. We can do the parasailing. So I definitely want to go back and do that. Parasailing, I like to do that. I don't know what places allow you to do the hang gliding, but I like to do that as well. I don't know if I'm guessing you have to get some sort of training to hang glide so you don't just like accidentally hurt yourself, delete yourself, right? But I haven't heard anything about training for hang gliding, but I would like to do that because that would be very much like parasailing, except with parasailing you're tethered to the boat with a cord. Um, but yeah, I might still skydive, but it just won't be as fun doing it with a person on your back. This needs says have a trustworthy instructor, so many things can go wrong. Yeah, I mean, of course, like it, it would definitely be someone who's licensed to do it, right? I mean, even still, most of those places will make you sign like a waiver saying that they're not responsible for X, Y, and Z accidents that happen, but to protect themselves, they're going to have a licensed professionals doing that are to serve as your jump masters and stuff like that. That would be something cool to do on July the 4th, but unfortunately, I don't know. I'm not aware of any places you can skydive here in Maryland. It's- I might Google it, but I don't think there are any. Probably in Virginia or somewhere. One of the first says, "Hi all, it's monsoon pissing down hard." Yeah, I know it's rainy. I know it's rainy season over there. Cause I don't know about Thais, but Filipinos hate the rain. Like, man, they hate the rain. And I think it's also rainy season in Japan and pretty much all those that whole region of the Pacific. Uh, I'm surprised I made it this long, yeah, guys. I'm tired as I don't know what. Been up all day since, and even when I've been up all day, it still hasn't been early as I would like. I like to be up by like 4:30, but I didn't get up till 6:37, which is late for me, honestly. So I'll just get up early, stay up, and then take a nap. Um, and and then like I know a lot of people hate naps because it can actually make you feel more tired because you don't get a full sleep cycle. That's for those who wonder why naps can be more draining than actual sleep. It's because you don't get your full sleep cycles that you go through. But what I do to compensate for not having enough time to go through an entire sleep cycle, or what happens is if depending on how tired you are, you might just go right into the deep sleep stage and miss the stage that makes you actually feel recuperative, which is REM sleep. REM sleep is the stage of sleep where you start dreaming. REM stands for rapid eye movement. That that stage of sleep is sort of like your mind being on defrag, if I can be kind of nerdy for a second, where the 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 last cycle this of sleep, the deep sleep, stage four, it's more like your mind on hibernation mode. so so what I would do is I would nap and then I would just have some iced coffee. I would make iced coffee right after I get up from my nap. And one of my friend says, "No, Miss Nita, I'm actually in my driveway, just making sure not to get flooded barefoot like a like a dummy, but I'm safe." And yeah, naps can make you drowsy big time. And I was saying, yeah, the reason naps make you drowsy is is for one of two reasons. One, like I said, you don't get a full you don't go through a full cycle of sleep stages. Like usually, if you're already extremely tired, you're gonna just jump right into stage four deep sleep. And once you're like abruptly woken out of that, it's gonna make you feel like trash when you wake up. At least for like the first 5 minutes, you're gonna feel first 5 to 10 minutes, you're gonna feel really groggy because you didn't get to cycle through all the stages of sleep: the alpha, the beta, then your REM, and then your deep sleep, your theta waves. So, um, but like I said, to compensate for that, what I would do is just make iced coffee afterwards. Or if you can permit it, depending on your type of job, maybe you can get on some micro naps. I know that Clinton and some other like really high powered individuals have prided themselves on doing little micro naps, which is like they'll just take a nap for like 1 or 2 minutes, like just standing up, like leaning against the wall and just take a quick micro nap. Apparently, Joe Biden takes macro naps. Again, I'm not going to get too political today, but yeah, apparently he said he wanted to go to sleep during the debate. Spoiler alert, so did the rest of us. But anyway, and let me get rid of this troll really quick. But yeah. Then the other side of it is if you if you actually went through a full cycle of your stages of sleep, it wouldn't be no longer an actual nap. And some people have said that you know having really having having too long naps is actually dangerous to your health, and that's not really true because the net according to sleep according to sleep research, humans naturally have a biphasic sleep mode. When I say biphasic, it's just a fancy way of saying we sleep twice a day. Like how people used to sleep before the industrial age was usually, you would go to bed and probably get up sometime very late, late at night, early in the morning, carry on some more work, eat, have sex, something like that, and then like end up going back to bed for another few hours. That used to be the human's natural sleep cycle, this biphasic sleep mode. But it was during the industrial age when we were expected to stay up all day long working these like brutal hours that most people would just prefer to try to force all of their sleep into one cohesive um, phase of sleep. But that's not how we naturally sleep, evolutionary speaking. Excuse me. Moonlit Fern says, I can't eat after a full sleep or have coffee because I'll crash. So just vitamin water and green tea with ice. No, if that works for you, that's fine. I was saying I prefer iced coffee after I get up. I mean, I prefer iced coffee in period because that's iced coffee is like hot chocolate for adults. I didn't like hot chocolate as a kid. I preferred like a little Nestle Quick, the the instant Nestle Quick, mix it up in like some cold milk. That's what I loved. Either the Nestle Quick or the Hershey syrup, either one. But I preferred the strawberry Nestle Quick. That was my favorite. Miss Neil says moonlit after full sleep. Really? Moonlit friend says, "Oh, remember basic training? Try to sneak a quick 5 minute IRS." No, hit no. I got a better one for you, Moonlit friend. So we want. in basic training when we were on FTX, right? We were doing our 3 day bivouac at right before we graduate, and we had to pull. We had to be out in the foxholes, just looking out the perimeters, or whatever. And the sergeant he kind of just snuck up on us, and he just saw me in a prone position with my head on my rifle. He was like, "Good job, soldier." He said, "You look like you are really scanning your perimeter." I was like, "Yes, sergeant." I was asleep like shit. I was like this with the thing. Just, yes, sergeant. Yeah, because I had my helmet. I had my helmet over these, so no one could tell that I was actually sitting there just in a prone position, sleeping, with my head resting on the rifle. They thought I looked like I was just being diligent. I was not. I was having the best sleep. I didn't get caught because he thought I was actually like awake. He didn't know I was asleep. I was just like, oh yes, sergeant. Yes, I'm definitely scanning my perimeter, sergeant. Oh man, that was good. So yeah, I didn't get caught. He thought I was actually like awake the whole time, and I'm pretty sure my battle buddy was asleep too. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure both of us were asleep in the prone position, because the prone position is pretty freak. It's not supposed to be, but it's pretty freaking comfortable, to be honest. And I mean, you kind of sleep like that anyway, like depending on how some people sleep, with one leg cocked and the other leg stretched out, no diddy. But um, we were, I, I know FTX was supposed to suck, but it did not suck at all. Probably, well, it probably also helped that we were out there during the late spring, early summer, and not during the winter. So, but because of that, it was comfortable out there. I mean, some people was getting booty on during bivouac. I didn't, although I'm sure it was one or two female soldiers that were down. But anyway, bivouac was fun. People got mad. People were tired of the MREs, so they would give them to me. And I'm sorry, I love my MREs, especially if it was Chili Mac. I if it was Chili Mac, the what was the chicken a la king? That one was good. Um, Even the chow mein, the chow mein wasn't too bad either. But the chicken a la king and the chili mac, those two are my favorite. And people would give me those because they were tired of eating MREs. I'm like, fine, shoot. I had like three or four of them. Yeah, I remember like 2 months ago, so we were talking military stuff, and people was asking me what was my favorite MRE, and I said Chili Mac, and almost everyone said that one was their favorite too. I didn't know everyone preferred Chili Mac, but yeah, Chili Mac was definitely my favorite, and then my second favorite was the chicken a la king. It's actually, Miss Needle, it's not actually that bad. I mean, of course, when you're hungry, it's going to taste better, but it's the same thing like it's the same thing like, well, like when I used to go clubbing when I was in college, right? When you came from the club 2 o'clock in the morning in DC, McDonald's tasted like a 5-star restaurant. Like the late night menu back in the early 2000s, you go to the late night menu at McDonald's coming from the club at 2 a.m. Man, I'm like, yo, let me get a quarter pounder, and I want the men like, can I get the meal king? I was like, I want the super size. I was like, they was like, oh, we don't have super size right now. Okay, then let me just get two fries. It used to be so funny. But we would just sit there in the car just eating, just like, oh, this is so good. That's how it was with the so that's how it was with the MREs. If you're out in the field, the MREs wasn't that bad. Even better was when they brought Hot Chow out to the field. You got some of you guys know what I'm talking about. When they brought Hot Chow out to the field, that shit was like, man, that's like eating at eating at a steakhouse. I mean, the only thing is you had to, rush through the line, but we were so hungry that by the time we got down the end of the line, we were done eating anyway. Like the first sergeant didn't have to rush me, and he was making jokes too. He was it was funny as shit. The first sergeant had mad jokes. He was like, "Damn, girl, you ate all that food quick like Scooby Doo." I was like, "God damn." Only person Hot Chow morale boost. Hell yeah. Everyone loved Hot Chow like in the field. That was man. That's why I never made fun of people who were who were army cooks. Cause man, army cooks were like your best friend. Like seriously, I would never get on the bad side of army cooks or even like the civilian contractors when we were in basic training and we had to pull KP. Like I love working with those older ladies. When we had to do KP, they were so nice to us. I was like, I would dare someone to be mean to one of those old ladies. They were like the sweetest people. And I'm pretty sure if anyone was mean to them, they would have got smoked hard. Albert says the MRE doesn't come with a drink though, right? Uh, yeah, it does. You have a powdered drink. You get a powder drink and you just put it in your canteen, shake it, and that was like Kool-Aid or Gatorade. So yeah, it came. You had like sometimes you get like the powdered. You get the powdered chocolate or like the Kool-Aid. It was like Kool-Aid, like grape or cherry or something like that. So yeah, they came with drinks and they had candy in them. You had like Skittles, Jolly Ranchers, M&Ms. Emily Francis, the spaghetti joint hurt my tummy. that that yeah, that wasn't the greatest. But like I ate anything as long as it didn't have cheese in it. Like if I got a meal that had cheese, like the what was it I forgot. But anyway, I always trade my cheese meals off for someone else. So if they had chow mein, if they had a la king, if they had chili mac, I would take those over the cheese one. I forgot what the cheese one was though. Only for instance, oh, I don't eat McDonald's. Fast food tastes different to me here. Yeah, well, you're in Thailand. McDonald's over there is great. So same thing in the Philippines. Like fast food just it tastes better overseas because they use better quality ingredients than they do here in America. Miss Neal says I find being hypothermic or cold is worse than eating um s oh sth you might not like that much. Um, yeah, like when I was in training, it was during the spring and summer, so it didn't get that cold. I went in February, so like basic training was 9 weeks. It was like 8 weeks of basic, 1 week of reception, which just happens prior to basic for those who aren't military. Now in Army is 10 weeks long, but in any case, by the time we got to the end of basic, it was already the spring, and by the time I went to AIT, it became summer. Only furnace is one time me and my buddy got pulled out of child line and forced to do push-ups um, in the mud simply for laughing. Didn't get to eat, and I got in more trouble for having mud on our BDUs. No, I remember. Do you remember if people didn't make a correct a perfect what do you call it, in the line that they would be sent all the way to the back. Like you had to do your uh not your about face, but your what do you call it? Half right, half left, whatever. Like if you didn't, I was hungry, so I never fucked around with that. So when it came to, I didn't mess around. I never got sent to the back of the child line for messing it up. I'm like, how are you guys gonna mess that up? I was like, aren't you hungry? That'd be. I was like messing up your. I was like messing up your cadence steps when you when it's time to eat is like the worst. Like that should be motivation to get your cadence correct. Would be so you don't get sent to the back of the line. Especially because if you get sent to the back of the line, you know that you're not gonna get enough time to eat like everyone else does. And the platoon guide is the first one to eat, and they're always and the drill sergeants are always rushing the platoon guide to eat to finish eating as quickly as possible, which means that's going to limit how fast we can eat our food. Luckily, our platoon guy was pretty cool. He was like, man, he said they would be rushing me to eat. He said, but I would try to eat slowly to try to give everyone else time so they could eat. So, no, Miss Needle, sometimes you're gonna laugh. I could barely keep a straight face most of the time throughout basic training because shit was just funny. Like the meaner the drill sergeants try to be, the funnier that stuff was. Like seriously, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird, but the more the more they try to punish people, the funnier I thought it was. So I got smoked for laughing a few times too. So it happens. I remember one drill sergeant in AIT. He tried to smoke me, and I just started laughing. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get you one of these times, soldier. I'm gonna get because he started laughing because he saw I was laughing. He said, I'm gonna get you one of these days. He did get me at one point because I forgot something that happened and I was pissed off, and he caught me while I was pissed off, so he just smoked me. And I was like, damn, I guess he did get me. But only for instance, powder electrolytes, some were good if you mixed them. Yeah, I mean, plus it was just having that little taste of sugar on your tongue, no diddy. But yeah, a little bit of sugar just was perked you up. But yeah, for the guy who was asking us, did we have anything sweet to drink? Yeah, we got powdered drinks in our MREs. And actually, for you guys who have bug out bags, I would recommend getting some sort of. It doesn't have to be an MRE, but maybe getting some of those dehydrated meals to put in your bug out bags or in your bug out vehicle if you have one of those. That would be great. And since a bug out bag is supposed to last you about 72 hours, I would say three of them should suffice. Probably three of them. And you don't even have the whole thing because the whole thing is going to be bulky in your bug out bag unless you have plenty of room in your bug out bag. What you could do is just simply take the entree out of your MRE and put that in your bug out bag, and then maybe take out some of the essentials that you might want to put in your bug out bag. So the the matches, if they still put matches in them, um, the the electrolytes, some bubble gum, stuff like that. Um, because all that sort of stuff you might want in your bug out kit. And since some of you guys did like my bug out kit video, like I said, my wife is still gonna make her backpack video. I've taken little snippets of her older video and put it on my YouTube shorts, but I haven't released the full clip just because she didn't like the quality, the production quality of the overall video. It was too much noise in the background. She tried to eliminate it by editing the noise out with some background noise. from her video app, but it still didn't come out well because you could barely hear her above the white noise. So she's just gonna redo the video, but her videos honestly kind of better than mine. Like if my video was Pac-Man, hers was Miss Pac-Man. If you're not Generation X, you don't get that. But basically, when Pac-Man was released, it was this huge phenomenon throughout the whole video game industry. But then when Miss Pac-Man came out, Miss Pac-Man was people liked it better than Pac-Man. So same. So that's what I'm getting at. And Mullen Ferris says, Miss Nito, I'm still afraid to laugh at a restaurant. Now I'll laugh like Goodfellas at a restaurant. I don't care. Like I said, the drill sergeants were making us laugh. Like they would say stuff. They knew it was funny. I mean, if I got smoked, I just got smoked. I didn't care. But if something was funny, I was just gonna laugh. Like we had this little Puerto Rican drill sergeant. And he was funny as hell. He told us like when he first joined the army, he couldn't even speak English. Like he came straight out of the Puerto Rico and joined the army. He said he couldn't speak any English, so he just did. He said whatever the drill sergeant told them to do, he did it. He said if he didn't understand what the drill sergeant wanted, he said he just pointed and he did what he pointed at. But I remember we were doing our the day we were doing like our hand to hand training, and then we had to fight with the pogo sticks. Um, it was actually one of my friends I had to fight, and I won. And I was like, drill sergeant, I was like, everyone got to fight someone else after they won their fight. I said, who am I gonna fight? He said, you fight me next, soldier. I just said, I tried not to laugh. I was like, all right, oh, okay, drill sergeant, you got it. But unfortunately, I didn't get to defend my title, which I was kind of upset because I was like, man, everyone who won their fight got to go on and do another fight. And I ended up actually knocking out my friend with the pogo stick. I didn't even mean to do it on purpose because we were fooling around at first, and then I kept jabbing him with it, and then I would swipe around and swing it at him, and then I forgot what I did. I just caught him with a clean one, and it knocked him straight down. And I'm like, oh damn, you all right? But yeah, I was ready to defend my title. He was like, "You gonna fight me next, soldier?" I was like, "All right." I'd actually wouldn't have mind if I did, to be honest. Then we had one drill sergeant that looked and sounded like um ah what's the guy who plays on all the gangster films alongside Robert De Niro? Um you know the one that always plays the short bully guy. The- Anyway, we had a drill sergeant that looked and sounded just like him, and it was so funny when he would smoke people. Like, hey soldier, where's your battle buddy at? He said, drill sergeant, yeah, I think I see him over there, soldier, right there in the front lean and rest. Why don't you go there and join him? Push. and, and what made it funnier was he had he made up a whole story while he was smoking them. He was like, so one day Jack and Jill went up the hill to get a pail of water. They had to come down the hill to get back to get the water. They had to go back up the hill. Man, he was funny. And what made it funnier was he sounded just like the Italian actor when he talked. Like that's what made it so funny. It's not just what he was saying; it was the fact that he, he had that New York City accent. He sounded just like um, the dude on the Goodfellas and Casinos films. And I can't remember his name. Joe Pesci. Yeah, that's it. The drill sergeant looked and sounded just like Joe Pesci. That shit was funny. Thank you guys. Let me get back to the older comments. I'm sorry. Miss Neal said Moonlit on the PTSD. Dang. You think everyone has PTSD? We don't all have PTSD. So here's the Here's the dirty secret about PTSD from a psychological perspective. Like most mental health illnesses, it's a partly hereditary trait, which means that not everyone who's going to have the same triggers are going to get PTSD if they don't have uh, a genetic predisposition to it. You have to have a genetic predisposition to PTSD for you to actually have PTSD. It's not it's not going to happen to everyone just because think about it from this look at it this way. If everyone who faced the same environmental triggers uh, got PTSD, that would mean like everybody in combat would get it because they all have those same triggers. But obviously, everyone having the same trigger is not going to get them to have PTSD. They have to have a genetic predisposition to it, which is just another way of saying that like all, you know, that mental health illnesses are partly hereditary. Moonlit Fern says, "Yeah, I don't even like being around tanks. Even the smell gives me goosebumps." But yeah, but that's because you did artillery, though. Yeah, the pivot. That's what I was talking about. Yeah. Moon says, "No one likes being up at 3 a.m. Being woken up at 3 a.m. after a light out was at midnight. Now we're marching in the rain, singing dirty ass songs that were sus." Oh yeah, all those songs were just pretty sus. Don't let your dog tags dangle in the dirt. But to be honest, I was mad that we didn't get the Mary Jane Rotten Crotch song, and we even asked the drill sergeant, so like drill sergeant, why can't we get the why don't we get the R-rated songs? He was like, oh no, private, we can't sing them songs anymore. It's not politically correct. Because I mean, we were at Fort Relaxation Jackson, so we um we served with the women, so I don't think it would have been appropriate to sing some of the old school songs. Now, if you were probably at Fort Benning or somewhere like that, I'm pretty sure they did sing the more crude cadence songs, but not where we were. Because like I said, we literally asked the drill sergeant if we could sing like the dirty songs. He's like, ah, nah, pride. We can't sing those. That's not politically correct anymore. Oh, thanks, Sam. I'm sorry I just got to your comments. By the way, I'm doing well, thank you. This is just like my pre July the 4th live stream since I didn't get to do one yesterday and I wanted to do one earlier, but I was busy all day. Like like after work I was doing like all my fitness stuff. Like I did a short run in the afternoon, then I went to the gym, then I did a long run this evening. So I appreciate it. Sam High says 14 Bravo. You referring to me or Moonlit Fern? He was the artillery guy. I was not. I didn't serve in any combat capacity. I was signal corps. So my military specialty was cable and telephone installation and maintenance, which was 31 Lima. At least back then. Now they changed the MOS nomenclature after 2005. But I believe all the Signal Corps were like the 31 series back then when I was serving. Moonlit first says, "Oh, the worst was the mustard gas saying your full name and rank in question. Did any of you have the duct tape training? It changes colors in case of chemicals, and you wrap your wrist and ankles." So I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you were in that live stream, Moonlit Firm, but I said I was talking about that. Going through the CS chamber And the bad thing was I was the first one in because it was it was originally one line and then they broke the lines in two. And where they broke the line in two was where I was standing, and I ended up being the first one in line. When they broke the line into two, I was down at the beginning of the line, and so I went in, but my mask was never properly sealed, so I caught the vapors before I even got to say my name, rank, and name, name, rank, and the question. I was just like private. So I didn't get name, rank, and serial number because for us it wasn't a question. I think it was just say your name, rank, serial number, and that was it. But like I said, I didn't get past my first. I didn't get past my last name. I just said my name. I was like, and then I just started choking because my thing was never properly sealed, my mask, and so I was fretting about that because when we were doing bivouac, I know they had pop CS on us, and I was like, damn. I was telling one of my other battle buddies, I was like, yo, I said, I'm not sure if my mask is sealed properly again. I said, because I never sealed it properly when we went through the CS chamber. I was like, man, I'm about to freak out if I gotta walk through some CS gas all night. He's like, man, just he's like, Joe, chill. He's like, here, let me help you with that. He said, you know, I'm gonna clown you later though, right? I was like, I don't even care. He's like, all right. Miss Nita says, oh, I remember Pac-Man. I mean, you can still play Pac-Man nowadays. Like when they what Matt what's I'm trying to remember which social media app goes down and they let you play Pac-Man on it. Is it YouTube? I think it's YouTube, right? It's not Facebook. It could be. It's either Facebook or YouTube. One of them. When they go down, it allows you to play like Pac-Man on it. Emily first says everyone knows Miss Pac-Man. Yeah, last time I was in Thailand, if you go back to that mall I was telling you about the techie mall, be well, I keep forgetting the name of it, even though it's like one of my favorite malls. When you go to the tech gadget mall, like all the way upstairs, if it's still there, there's a there's an antique store at the top, and they had like a whole bunch of vintage stuff from the 80s. And there was a whole Pac-Man arcade, a Miss Pac-Man arcade, and I wanted it because it was I think it was only $50 or uh, something like that. It was like 40 or $50, something like it could have been more than $60. Only reason I was like, well, it would take too much. It would take too much to ship it to the Philippines. And I was like, I'm definitely not shipping it to America because that would just be way too expensive. But I say, even if I shipped it to the Philippines, I said it's going to be more expensive than what I paid for it. So I just left it there. But they also had some tabletop arcades. I don't remember if they had a tabletop version of Miss Pac-Man. If they did, I would have bought it. They had a bunch of vintage stuff like Gizmo, which was funny because I kept telling my wife every time we went to a different Chinatown in some different country that I wanted to find a Mogwai. And so I was like, oh, I finally found a Mogwai. I was like, even though this isn't Chinatown, but we did go to Chinatown in Bangkok. I was like, oh, Mogwai. And then they had like the classic, um, I don't know if you guys remember so like, with like cartoons and stuff like that, they used to have like these adventure books that had like a mini record in the back that you could play along to the book that it came with. They had a bunch of those in there. They had like a He-Man one and stuff like that. They had so many good things in there. I'm surprised. I'm surprised I didn't buy a bunch of stuff because my wife wasn't going to stop me. She didn't care. She was like, "Go ahead, buy it." She was like, "If you want this stuff, go ahead and get it." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't want to blow all our money." She was like, "No, go." She didn't care. She was like, "Go ahead." The one thing I knew I wasn't going to do is buy the arcade, even though I really wanted that Miss Pac-Man arcade. Miss Nita said I even played some on those old diskette thingies you put in the computer fun times. You mean the micro the micro disc? The floppy disk. BSK says late. I know I'm up a little late. I'm not gonna stay up too late, guys. Mullen Fern says, "LOL, it'd be the short drill sergeants with the complex screaming loud like like a smirk. Not hard not to break out giggling. Yeah, no, but Mullen Fern, he knew he was being funny though. Because like I say, he was making jokes. It wasn't like when he was smoking them, it wasn't like he was doing it like out of spite. He was doing it and he was having a good time smoking them. Like I said, he invented a whole Jack and Jill story just to keep making them go up and down. Like I said, that was pure inventive like genius right there. I told this story too. I got smoked when we were coming off the firing range. As you know, after you come off that firing range, you have to make sure that your rifle is cleared, and they throw the rod through it to make sure you don't still have one in the chamber. You gotta say no brass, no ammo, drill sergeant, and it was a female drill sergeant, and she was kind of cute. She could have got it. I'm just saying. And I was like, no brass, no ammo, drill sergeant. She was like, what? What you say to me, soldier? What you say? Did you say no brass, no ass, drill sergeant? I was like, oh no. I was like, no, no, drill sergeant. I did not say that. She's like, yeah, you did. You said no brass, no ass, drill sergeant, didn't you? I said, no, no, drill sergeant. She's like, where you from, private? I was like, I'm from Baltimore, drill sergeant. She's like, all right. You sure you ain't say it? I was like, no, I didn't say it, drill sergeant. She's like, all right, I'm gonna let you go. And she was smiling the whole time. I don't know if she was like low key flirting with me, or she was just trying to give me a hard time because she thought it was funny. But after I walked away from her, I was like, yeah, I said, yeah, no brass, no ass, drill sergeant. And one of the male drill sergeants, he's like, private, what you just say? I was like, no, push right now, push. And another drill sergeant ran over to him. He said, man, what did he say? He said, he said, no dress. He said to the female drill sergeant, no brass, no ass, drill sergeant. He was like, oh shit. They both just busted out laughing. Man, that shit was funny. I didn't even mind getting smoked because it was just funny. Oh, Smurf. Okay. Mm-mm-mm. Seymour. So if you're gonna be a troll, why have a trolly name? But besides whatever the person's YouTube handle is, as long as they're respectful to me, I don't care what the name is personally. I'm not easy. That's how you know the troll is a young person. People from Gen X don't give a fuck. I mean, we literally don't. I'm black, and people of my generation played with the Dukes of Hazzard's toys. My first big wheel was the Dukes of Hazzard's toy, and any of you who know the Dukes of Hazzards know that the car had a big Confederate flag on it. Still play with it. I think we Gen X doesn't get easily offended, guys. If that's if if that's what you if you guys are that way, I'm sorry. We're built we're built differently. We're built for tough. You guys are built more like a what's a really insulting car to call someone? I'm thinking of a Korean car, but that might be an insult to them too. I want to say like a Geo, but most people wouldn't even know what a Geo is anymore. But in any case, I'm Gen X. I'm not gonna get easily offended. Like as long as the person is respectful to me, respectful to the people in the chat room, I don't really care what their YouTube handle is. So that's how I see it. Lexi says, "Have a great Fourth of July." Thank you. BSK says, "Wish all the ladies uh, was bricks in a pile, and I was a mason. I laid them all in style." uh, Mully Fern says, "Is it true in the Navy y'all can't wear dog tags in the ocean because it attracts barracudas? Or is my Navy friend bullshitting because we clown each other a lot?" Who's that question towards? Because I'm not, I wasn't Navy, I was Army. So I think BSK, were you Navy? He said Moonlit for instance, we kind of roasted the chair force a lot too. Yeah, of course. Like whenever someone had their hands in their pockets, they say, "What you got? Air Force pockets now, soldier?" So BSK says chair farce. Or what we would say, like, for people who had non-combat positions, like we did, they called us chairborne rangers. Well, at least, well, not us, because we were actually in the field. So even though we weren't combat, we were for my MOS, we did have to be in the field laying cable and stuff like that. So that's literally why they called us cable dogs, because you will see us in the running behind the cable trucks pulling the wire. And like I said, we would be in the field for tactical reasons, whereas um, the domestic stuff we would be more like just like Verizon or whatever. But on a tactical side, like yeah, we might be actually laying cable in areas where there's combat, or having to do like some basic signal intelligence like decrypting or encrypting signals, stuff like that. Miss Neal says, "Aren't some people immune to CS gas?" Kind of. Well, I don't know CS gas. I think you're probably thinking of pepper spray, because now in a lot of places do the pepper spray. CS gas, I mean, it affects people differently. Like some people react to it more strongly than others. I guess you could say like some people have lesser reaction to it, but it's going to elicit a reaction to everyone. But are some people immune to it? I think so, but if so, it's more rare than not. Same thing with pepper sprays. There are some people that pepper spray doesn't really bother, and some it bothers a whole lot. So they're kind of closely related. Molly Francis, oh no, I'm sorry, you were first in CS thing. You were leaking out all your eyes, nose, mouth, burning, no diddy. Yeah, exactly. WD says vet branch MOS. So yeah, Army vet, 31 Lima WD. Molly Francis is still there across the street from MRT out underground subway. Yeah. Chinatown and Bangkok. Yeah, it's changed big time. Can't hardly walk or breathe. And the smells out the drains are rough. They get raided a lot for gambling rooms. Y'all lucky we weren't around any females struggling. Yeah, we've trained with the female soldiers, so all we did was flirt with these girls, and I literally had these two girls fighting for my attention like the last day of training before we graduated. Like